The Philadelphia Eagles find themselves at the center of a heated quarterback debate. And it's honestly wild that we're even having this conversation so soon after Jalen Hurts led this team to back-to-back Super Bowl appearances and walked away with a Super Bowl MVP. Think about that for a second. Just a few months ago, the guy was carving up one of the best defenses in the league on the biggest stage. And now folks are seriously suggesting he should be benched? Man, that's the kind of take that makes you shake your head. Now, look, nobody's saying Hurts has been perfect this season. There's clearly been a drop-off in consistency, and some of the throws haven't been as sharp. But let's not pretend like the entire offense hasn't been out of sync. And while we're being honest, how much of this really falls on Jalen? You take a closer look, and it's not just about the quarterback. The scheme, the play calling, the overall structure of this offense, it all feels off. Kevin Patullo, the guy now calling plays, doesn't seem to be putting his quarterback in the best position to succeed. There's a lack of rhythm, lack of creativity, and a whole lot of predictability. You can almost call out the plays before they even happen. And if we can do that, trust me, defensive coordinators around the league can too. There's this idea floating around that maybe the Eagles should give Tanner McKee a shot. And yeah, McKee has some tools. He throws with anticipation, he can make those layered passes, and he's got a pocket presence that's intriguing. But come on, are we seriously suggesting that swapping Hurts for McKee is the answer to all of Philly's problems? That's not just short-sighted, it's reckless. Because what happens if McKee comes in and struggles, which is more than likely considering how broken the system looks right now? You don't just ruin Hurts' confidence, you damage McKee's future too. Now you've got two quarterbacks second-guessing themselves, and a locker room that starts questioning the leadership and the direction of the franchise. And here's the thing that really makes this whole situation frustrating. Hurts didn't suddenly forget how to play football. This isn't a case of a guy who never had it to begin with. He's shown over and over again that he can rise to the moment, lead his team through adversity, and make plays when it matters most. He's been to the mountaintop and didn't flinch. The issues we're seeing now aren't just about execution. They're about structure, leadership, and, quite frankly, bad management decisions going back to the offseason. Let's talk about that. Because before we start throwing Hurts under the bus, maybe we should be looking a little higher up the food chain. Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, whoever's pulling the strings up there, they've got to answer for some of these moves. You appoint Kevin Patullo, a guy with zero real play-calling experience, to be the offensive coordinator of a Super Bowl contending team? That's a huge gamble. And from the jump, it didn't seem like Hurts was all that comfortable with the decision. You go back to those interviews a week or two after the Super Bowl, Jalen sounded hesitant. Like he was trying to say the right things, but the body language said it all. It didn't feel like he had a voice in that decision, which is crazy when you remember we're talking about a guy who just won you a championship. If you really believed Hurts was your franchise quarterback, how do you not involve him in a move that big? How do you hand over the keys of the offense to someone without first asking the guy who's actually running it if he believes in the system? That doesn't make sense. And when you look at the way the offense is sputtering now, it's hard not to connect the dots. But it doesn't stop there. You can't talk about the Eagles' struggles without mentioning the talent drain this team has gone through. Key players left, and the replacements haven't filled the void. You let guys like C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay walk, and then tried to patch things up with rookies and mid-tier free agents. You expect rookie safeties to produce like proven veterans. That's just not realistic. And then there's the offensive line, which has been battered and inconsistent. Injuries to Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson playing hurt, Lane Johnson battling through pain. It's been a revolving door. And what happens when the line starts breaking down? Quarterbacks start rushing throws, play designs fall apart, and suddenly every drive feels like a struggle. Even the tight end situation is a mess. You trade away a solid blocking tight end for a wide receiver you're not even using. Meanwhile, outside of Dallas Goedert, your blocking from that position is non-existent. That has a ripple effect on both the run game and pass protection, and now Hurts is under pressure more often than he should be. You can see the frustration on his face during games. He's talking to coaches after almost every drive, trying to figure out what's going wrong, trying to get some answers, and it looks like nobody has them. So yeah, it's easy to blame the quarterback. That's always the simplest move. But if you're really watching these games, if you're paying attention to the details, you can see that the problems go way deeper. This isn't about Jalen Hurts missing 2 throws. This is about a team that didn't build the right support system around him. that made questionable coaching hires, and that hasn't made the necessary adjustments now that teams have figured out what they're doing. They're running the same tired concepts week after week, making no effort to mix things up or surprise defenses. And defenses are sitting on it, jumping routes, crowding the box, daring them to try something different. And what do the Eagles do? They keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. That's on coaching. That's on management. That's not on Jalen Hurts. Now let's talk about the idea that McKee would magically fix all of this. Really? You're telling me a guy who's never started an NFL game is going to step into this mess and make it all work? McKee isn't mobile, which means you lose a huge element of your run game. Defensive lines won't respect the quarterback run, so now they can pin their ears back and go full speed at the running back or sit on quick slants. You lose that threat and your offense becomes even more one-dimensional. And again, this is a guy who hasn't seen live bullets in a real NFL game. You throw him into this chaos, and it's going to break him. And what's the long-term plan? Let's say McKee struggles, which is likely. Now what? You go back to Hurts, hoping he's still got the confidence to lead a locker room that just saw him get benched after carrying this franchise to its highest point in recent memory? That's not how you treat your leader. That's not how you build a sustainable winning culture. What we're really seeing right now is the fallout of a team that thought it could do more with less, that believed it could plug in cheap replacements, make improved coaching hires, and still compete at the highest level just because they had a talented quarterback. But football doesn't work like that. You need cohesion. You need smart adjustments. You need leadership that listens to its players and adapts when things aren't working. Jalen Hurts deserves better than this. And Eagles fans deserve better than a front office that seems more reactive than proactive. You don't throw away everything this guy has built just because of a few rough outings. You fix the system around him. You help him. You elevate him. Because if you don't, you're not just risking this season. You're risking the entire foundation of what was supposed to be a dynasty in the making. And if we're being honest, this situation didn't just pop up out of nowhere. You could see it building ever since the offseason. The signs were all there: questionable roster decisions, a lack of depth in key positions, and a coaching setup that felt more like a patch job than a solid structure built to last. It's like the Eagles came into this season thinking that talent alone would carry them, like Hurts would be able to mask every flaw just like he's done in the past. But this time, the cracks are showing, and no matter how talented your quarterback is, he can't do it all by himself when the entire foundation is shaky. It's funny how quick the narrative can flip. 1 minute a guy is a hero, and the next, folks are ready to throw him under the bus for a couple of missed throws. But context matters. And the context around Jalen Hurts right now is absolutely brutal. We're talking about a quarterback dealing with a broken offensive system, an inconsistent run game, a banged-up offensive line, and wide receivers running the same predictable routes over and over. And still, Hurts is putting up solid numbers. He's throwing touchdowns, limiting turnovers, and keeping the team competitive, even if it's not always pretty. That should count for something. People forget that football is about rhythm and timing. When the play call comes in late, when the receivers aren't getting open, and when the pocket collapses too quickly, it throws off everything. And that's exactly what's happening. The tempo is off. Drives stall not because of a lack of talent, but because everything feels one step behind. And that's not on Hurts. That's on preparation. That's on game planning. That's on the coaching staff not having this team ready to execute. And you can see the frustration leaking into every part of the team. The energy is just off. The body language on the sidelines, the way players react after failed plays, it doesn't look like the same hungry, confident group we saw storm through the playoffs. That fire, that edge, seems to be missing. And when your quarterback has to constantly go to the sideline and hash things out with his offensive coordinator every single game, that tells you all you need to know. There's no cohesion. There's no rhythm. It's just a mess. Now imagine taking that mess and dumping it on a young, untested quarterback like Tanner McKee. Imagine expecting him to fix things when the guys running the show clearly don't have a clue what's going wrong. You'd be setting him up for failure. And even worse, you'd be tearing down the one guy who's proven he can lead this team through adversity. Jalen Hurts has earned more trust than that. He's earned patience. He's earned the right to play through a rough patch without fans and analysts calling for his job every time the offense hits a wall. And let's not act like this is some long-term slump. We're 6 or 7 games into the season. Teams go through rough stretches all the time. The Chiefs have looked shaky at times. The Bills have had their issues. Even the Niners have had games where nothing clicked. It's part of the game. What separates great organizations from the rest is how they respond. Do they panic and blow it all up? Or do they stay the course and work to fix the real problems? That's the question facing the Eagles right now. Benching Hurts would send the worst possible message to the locker room. It would tell the players that loyalty means nothing, that one bad stretch erases years of leadership and results. And once you start making decisions based on emotion instead of logic, that's when you start losing your team. Hurts hasn't lost the locker room, not even close. If anything, he's still the heartbeat of that team. The way his teammates talk about him, the way they rally behind him even in tough games, that doesn't just happen. That's earned. And if you strip that away just because the offense is underperforming as a unit, you risk unraveling everything that made this team successful in the first place. And let's not ignore what happened the last time the Eagles had a quarterback controversy. Remember that? Carson Wentz was the future of the franchise until he wasn't. The locker room divided, the team spiraled, and it took years to climb out of that hole. Do we really want to go down that road again? You don't mess with the quarterback position unless you absolutely have to. And right now, the Eagles don't have to. They have a top-tier quarterback who's struggling in a flawed system, not a flawed quarterback dragging the team down. If anything, the Eagles need to simplify things. They need to speed up the tempo, diversify the route concepts, and let Hurts get back to what he does best, making quick decisions, using his legs when needed, and attacking defenses with confidence. The coaches need to stop trying to reinvent the wheel and start leaning into the strengths of their quarterback. You don't take a mobile, dual-threat quarterback and shove him into a rigid, slow-developing passing system with no rhythm and no creativity. That's not maximizing his talent. That's limiting it. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. Rumors are swirling in Philadelphia after a statement from defensive powerhouse Jalen Carter reportedly set the Eagles' locker room ablaze. Figuratively speaking, though some insiders say the tension has been palpable enough to feel it. According to sources close to the team, what Carter said during a recent team meeting has caught everyone off guard, leaving both teammates and staff scrambling to process the implications. Carter, known for his on-field dominance and sometimes unpredictable off-field demeanor, allegedly voiced strong opinions about the team's direction and the dynamics within the locker room. While exact details remain murky, insiders suggest that his comments may have touched on leadership struggles, play-calling frustrations, and perhaps even questioned the commitment of certain teammates. The atmosphere reportedly shifted immediately, with some veterans trying to mediate and younger players visibly stunned. Sources say this isn't the first time Carter has stirred things up, but few expected such an explosive reaction in the heart of Eagles territory. One anonymous source described the scene as tense, electric, and impossible to ignore, while another hinted that the team's coaching staff might be preparing an internal meeting to address the fallout. Social media is already ablaze with speculation, with fans dissecting every clip, interview, and sideline expression in search of clues. The timing of Carter's comments could not be more critical. With the season in full swing and playoff hopes hanging in the balance, the Eagles are in a delicate position. Analysts are debating whether this could serve as a wake-up call that galvanizes the team, or whether it marks the start of a deeper rift. Some suggest that Carter's outspokenness might even impact upcoming trades or lineup decisions, as management weighs the consequences of letting emotions fester versus addressing the elephant in the room. For now, the Eagles organization has remained tight-lipped, issuing no official statements beyond standard assurances of team unity. But in a locker room known for its intensity and high stakes, whispers of dissent carry far and wide. Philadelphia fans can only watch as the drama unfolds, wondering if Carter's words will ignite a fire that propels the team to new heights or create a spark too dangerous to contain. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.